Hello and welcome to the i3 lecture series hosted by the Masters in Digital Photography here at the School of Visual Arts. I'm Julie Graham. Tonight we welcome a recent Masters graduate, Fong. I was her mentor in 2020 here in this program, which we did over Zoom, so we have regular meetings. And hard to believe in hindsight that we did all this online. She has been really good at keeping in touch with me. And we've talked about this earlier today, and I cannot stress this enough. It's really important to stay in touch. I'm really, really proud to see what she's been up to in both photography and production in just 3 short years. So I give it over to Fong.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming here today. My name is Phương Vo. Can I see a raise of hands of the student this year so I can, get familiar with you guys? Hello, how you guys doing? Everyone's here? Yes. Great. Okay, I will try to mix it up a little bit, make it fun. So please don't fall asleep in the middle. I'll wake you up. So it just so happened that I got to celebrate my 10th year living in New York City last August. And I thought that it couldn't get any better. And then later in November, I received a text from Julie, and she invited me to be a guest lecturer on the i3 program. And imagine, 4 years ago, I was there, right where you guys at, and waiting for the next lecturer, take the stage on, and so I was flabbergasted for sure. So what's better than standing in front of a room full of good-looking people, being frightened, and present my my work in the past 10 years, how I survived this city and how I get here today. Let's get started. My name is Phương and I'm a native of Vietnam. I grew up there and I moved here in 2013. The first time I picked up the camera, I was in high school. It was a long time ago and it was just for fun. And around that time, I was able to make a few money pocket out of doing part-time gigs, but never once did I think that I could become, a professional in this field. I moved here in 2013, like I said before, and attended Fashion Institute of Technology, which is about 6 blocks away from here. I was major in fashion design. And yes, I was studying to be a fashion designer. So I remember vividly around that time. Oh, by the way, this is my graduation thesis. It made it to the runway, the 2018 Future of Fashion Show. That's an annual event of FIT that showcased the work of graduating students. So I had a lot of fun making this piece. I had 4 pieces actually, but only 1 piece made it to the runway. I always think that, I'm in school already, so let's have fun. Just, you push yourself as well, but, having fun is the most important one. And I remember that at the time, everyone in my class, they were running around like headless chicken looking for a photographer to take photos for their graduation thesis for free. Is that the hard part, Getting service for free in New York City, come on. So I had my camera with me at that time. I still had that Canon 40D. It's a very old series. And I thought maybe I could offer them my service in exchange to, some valuable experience. So they agree. and they just give their face into my hand. Here's the result. These are a few of the selection that I did for the student in my class. This was really fun. This location is an office in Soho. I had no access to it, but I have a friend. So remember this, use your friends. So he works there, and he just he went to the administration of his office and asked for like access to get into the office during the weekend. So we got the whole team up to the office. Nobody cared, and so we spread everything around, makeup, clothes everywhere, on the desk, on the floor, and we just do our thing. At that time, I had no idea how to direct the models or what to tell the makeup artists to do. Like, I just let them do their thing. So, yeah, and then I started taking the photos, had some light with me. Well, it turned out all right. It's not bad, not too shabby. This on the street of Lower East Side. It was fun too. I had no light, just use natural light the whole time. I have another friend that came along and helped me with, the reflector. This is down the street on, I think it's on 14th Street on 8th Avenue. They have a really nice location around there with a red brick wall and the magazine store right there. So I just take advantage of that corner and snap the photo. This is in, I think this is in the Met, maybe a little bit above the Met. They have a massive garden over there. It looks like a fairy tale. So we walk in there and we were allowed to take photos but we have to be sneaky. Yeah. Yeah, so the photos came out nice. I like it. And this is my piece. This is my roommate. I dragged him out of the house and then just pop the clothes onto him and tell him, like, do whatever you want. I just got to snap the photos. Yeah, so that was the beginning of my journey into photography here in New York. And so after 2018, I graduated from Fashion Institute of Technology, and I got granted a year of OPT. For anyone that's not familiar with that, is a year that they give international students to look for work in here, and if you get sponsored, you get work visa. So instead of working in fashion industry, I did intern for Brenza Stroller for a little bit, and then I just gave up after 2 months. And I decided that I just gotta pursue, photography. Let's see what it's gonna lead me to. And so I did a few freelance jobs, and I attended some job fair, and I got the contact of this woman who happened to be the vice president of Indiegogo at the time. So she was starting a new creative agency with her husband and looking for talent to work with them. And I just kept in touch with her. Like Julie said, just try to keep in touch with all the people you happen to meet. And that's how I landed this job. This is my first major job because this is for Canon, and it is also their first major client as well. This is the camera they was trying to sell here for the holidays of 2019. So judging by the look of it, it looks really fun, yeah. You can clip it to your, any loops that you have on your clothes or your bags. Comes in different colors. you got to, peek through that hole on the camera is very nostalgic. That's the thing. But I don't want to badmouth them. The quality of the photo was just so bad. If you already have a phone, why would you buy this? But, after this campaign, I helped them land Canon as their client. So Canon actually fired their PR firm of 7,000 people to hire us. We had 7 people at that time. Yeah, so there's a lot of learning curves while doing this kind of job as well. It's a commercial job, so you have to follow the guideline of the brand a lot. You don't really have much of creative space to do whatever you want, and at the end of the day, they're gonna be the one that pick the photos, not you. But yeah, I had fun. I had fun doing, their campaigns. And this is the products. It's actually on their website, still on their website. I don't know if they're able to sell any, but it's still there. And so after the Canon gig, it leads to the JBL one. This also is we would call it a trial products. So these products, after the campaign, is gonna be published on Indiegogo for, for them to testing if this is actually works. This is the pair of headphones that supposed to get the energy through a band of solar power up here. So it's called eternal something, I forgot. Yeah, so it's supposed to be like a very, very helpful products that you don't have to plug it in after they have used, And yeah, I was working along with June Kim. She was once our guest lecturer here as well. And she works in the fashion industry now, but yeah, I stick with the commercial. And then more Canon projects. So for these projects, Pixel, which is the company that I was working for at the time, they moved the whole production to the West Coast because their headquarters over there. And so instead of flying photographer from the East Coast to the West Coast, they just hire a photographer from the West Coast instead. So they save a bit of money, but they still work with me as I was doing the post-production mostly for them, because I got the Canon color. So they always come to me for, like when they need to grade the photos to match with the Canon color. These are the handy printer. You can just pair it with a phone via Bluetooth, and then it's gonna print it right away, and then you can peel it off, stick it anywhere you want. Okay, so let's talk about my time at SVA, which is 2019. This is also a photo of my neighbor. As you see, I'm really close to all my neighbors. And it's at the back of our roof. It's not actual roof, but we just got up there. I think it's illegal. So yeah, in 2019, after working for lots of commercial campaigns, and I asked myself, is there anything that I'm lacking? When I look at my photos, I think my photo lacks of storytelling, and I don't know how to develop it. Maybe go on YouTube. I did go on YouTube and listen to people tutorial and stuff, but that should be, storytelling should be something that come from the within. You can't ask people to tell your story. I came to, this is my quote. So long story short, I think that, at first, everybody try to take a good shot, right? With your phone, with your DSLR camera, with whatever camera, you want to take a good shot. But at the end of the day, everyone tried to tell a compelling story. What story you tried to tell? I was trying to figure out what story I was trying to tell at that time. And the one thing about this program is that it's really compact. It's a compact 1 year divided into like three semesters. And the first semester is going to really focus on lots of practical skill that you're going to need when you go out there and work in the digital world, like digital workflow. When I was in school, I kind of like not pay attention to that class that much. I'm sorry. I bet you lot out there didn't pay attention either, okay? So, but it's very important because you don't want to name your file Canon Final 1, Canon Final 1, 2, Canon Final 1, 2, 3 for one same file. You don't want to do that. So you're going to have to learn how to name the file properly because when you work with other people, they're going to have to go through the same drive as you, and they're going to have to understand where to go. They have to navigate it. You're going to have to make it easy for them to navigate to the right file. Otherwise, you're going to waste their time. You don't want that. You're going to get sacked. Anyway, so yeah, for I learned a lot in editorial class. That's one of my favorite ones. Sorry, Tom. I got to study with James Estreen. He's a photojournalist of the New York Times, and he's a very warm and friendly guy. And he just come into class, and even though he seems like just tell you this is good, this is not, but if you actually listen, there's a lot of information in there. You have to look at the photos that when he say that this is good because, yeah, so listening is a good skill as well. And I got to learn to take environmental photos. It's very interesting, follow somebody for the whole day and learn about their life and, snap the right snap to tell the story about their life. It's a very hard task, I think, because you can take like thousands of photos, but nobody understands what they're doing. So you're gonna have to sit there, but at the same time you have to communicate with the person as well, and find the angle that you want to tell your story from. So these photos are my experiment at the time. I took inspiration from this French Vietnamese painter in the early 20th century. His name is Le Fort, and he was famous for combining the traditional art of Vietnam and the element and technique of Western modernism. I was very inspired by his color scheme and the elegance and sophistication of the women through his paintings. So I was trying to replicate that in my photos. So a little bit more bizarre compared to his style, but you can see the similarity. I did the backdrop myself. I got 2 big V flat from the store. It used to be like right next door to this location. It's got closed down, but then it got like lots of different spray paints, and then make it organically to to mimic the brush stroke feeling. And these are my classmates at the time. I asked them to model for me, and they're very nice. They just do whatever I told them to. And they didn't understand what they were doing anyway. But some of the photo turned out really, really good. I like it, even though it doesn't mean anything. And I was attracted to the color of the vegetable and the fruit, which I got from Trader Joe at the corner over there. These another day of shooting, and kind of the same concept as well. So I was playing around with organic food, flowers, poses. What I learned a lot from this period is that because this is conceptual photography, so it needs a very, attention to details. You gotta have to review what you just take all the time to see what is right and what's wrong, what is in position and what is off. So for example, this one, it's almost a perfect photo, in my opinion. I just really like the feeling of it. But her elbow is a little bit too high, so when I have to crop the photo, it's just really hard to position, the subject. And this one, experimenting with the color of the fruit and the vegetable. And let's talk about the graduation thesis, which is in 2020. That's my book over there. So 2020, is the beginning of COVID-19 pandemic, and it hit New York really hard, and it hit us as international students harder because at that time we had no access or very limited access to the school, and we are photography students, so we need to go to the studio to try, to test the work. And we got locked out, so, I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna do this. Because I wanted to develop what I was doing before with the green backdrop. So I couldn't. My backdrop got locked in the studio as well, so I couldn't bring it back home. So I talked to, I got introduced to Julie as my thesis advisor, thanks to Tom again. It just happened that we got along really well, and Julie had lead me through the difficult time, tried to figure out how I should execute this thesis at home. I'm gonna show you the photos of the photos. So this is my book. I designed a whole book from typography to the layout of the book, because it was the requirement for one of the class, and I really enjoy the whole process of making it. This is really different to whatever I did before. I never made a book before, and how do I want to make a book? I want it to be connected. I want it to look like a piece of art, not just a book. So I had to figure out how I'm going to print it in one sheet of paper. And we had Boise Bieber at the time was the school assistant. He's not related to Justin Bieber, so please don't ask me. He's really helpful. And he has a professional printer at home, and he offered help to me that, I just send the file to him, and he's gonna figure out how to put the layout in the sheet of paper. And it came out beautifully. For this thesis, it was a really hard time to figure out what I want to do, what story I want to tell. So I was there by myself with my cat and did a lot of reflection as well. I have to remember one thing, that before I was a photographer, or later a producer, or multidisciplinary designer like it's on the flyer, I'm an immigrant first. I come from Vietnam. We carry the pain from generations, and I can't just shake it off, and I decided to embrace it. Through photos, quite hard. How did I do that? This quote from John Didion, I love it. We tell ourselves story in order to live. I don't like taking photos of myself. I rarely take any selfies at all. And I have some shame about my appearance as well, like everyone else. But for me, it stood out a lot because my skin is darker compared to most Vietnamese, and it just I wasn't proud of it. So I just documented, every bit of myself through that whole process. So in a way, I have to look at myself. I have to look really, really at myself to see who I am, because this is the shell that I'm going to carry to the rest of my life. And so I had a picture at home. It's really beautiful. I love it. So I put it into use. I like the reflection of myself. It distorted through the glass picture and the water, so that I don't have to look at my face. This is distorted reflection of myself. So in every photo, you can see that I rarely show my whole self. I have to use something as a thing to hide behind. And this one is the one that made it to the exhibition, and I was advised to print it into a big piece. It's really big. When I look at it, it's just very awkward because my face is right here, massive. Yeah, and then the frame is so heavy too. When I have to carry it home, oh my gosh! Imagine carry that, to the subway. Yes, and COVID-19. Everybody remember that time? Yeah, so 2020 and 2021. I was, after graduating, I returned to my freelance work as a photographer and retoucher. And then I continued to do, producing photo shoot, establishing my own team. So I had a consistent team to work with me at that time. And in the spring of 2021, the news, the media was flooded with news about attacks on the Asian community. And almost every day, we got so scared. I got connected. I was introduced to a New Zealand director who is of Vietnamese descent. And she shared with me that she wanted to make a documentary, just a short documentary in her style about the history of anti-Asian racism that deep-rooted in United States, which exists since the very beginning of the States, centuries ago. These are the illustration and the work on set for that documentary. the thing, the yellow thing in the middle is an altar. So in Asian culture, we have altar in almost every household. And at that time, the attacks on the women who works at the spa in Atlanta just happened. And 7 of them got killed. I'm going to show you the short documentary. It's going to be 4 minutes.
And a warning.
This video you're about to see
is graphic and disturbing.
I saw his hand with a box cutter. I shouted for help, but nobody helped me.
The officer, he told us he got injury very bad and he never wake up again. I never see him again.
75-year-old Park Ho was assaulted and robbed. Police are still trying to determine if this was an attack fueled by hate or just a crime of opportunity.
Asian piece of shit. What are you doing in this country?
Go back to China.
Come move.
Brutally
Punched in the eye.
violently.
You start to get the hint.
America's the greatest land of all.
Asian American hate is as old as American history.
Chinese were coming here to mine.
Most of the ships were populated by young men, prime of life, coming over here to work, take their chances.
They become known as a cheap source of labor, willing to take on back-breaking work.
Chinese men were not permitted to bring their spouses, which led to thousands of young women trafficked from China for prostitution. Daughters were sold by their families, kidnapped, or persuaded by a false promise of economic opportunity.
A white man murdered minor Sing Ling, but he was acquitted of his crime, arguing that the Chinese were inferior, silencing their voices alongside other non-whites.
A mob of 500 descended on the city's Chinese living quarters.
They lynched and killed 19 boys and men.
When white miners went on a rampage through Rock Springs, Chinatown, shooting, looting, and burning, 28 people died.
The killers threw the bodies of the Chinese into the Snake River, clearly a savage act of racial hatred.
Congress passes the Chinese Exclusion Act. For the first time in the nation's history, a group of people is banned from entering the country solely on the basis of race.
Immigration restriction law in 1882 explicitly targeting Chinese immigrants as undesirables.
White mobs attacked Filipino farm workers mingling with white women. It grew into 5 days of violence, throwing Filipinos off the Pajaro Bridge, killing Furman Tobera.
3, 2, 1.
Immediately after the blast, invisible gamma and beta rays kill without warning.
Doesn't know about it. Red light comes up, make you blind for a few seconds.
Many people on the island did die of cancer-related illnesses.
Detroiters were invited for 50 cents a smash to take out their anger on Japanese cars.
Was Vincent Chin beaten to death with a baseball bat because he was Oriental? The brutal slaying has outraged the Chinese community in Detroit and across the nation.
I want justice for Vincent. I want justice for my son.
China poisoned our people. President Trump has the courage to call it what it is.
China virus, Kung flu. Trump's gonna fuck you.
We don't want you here. That's why we elected President Trump.
Where's the person who is robbing the spa?
I don't know. I'm hiding right now. There's a car, okay?
While it's not clear what led to these killings, it is impossible to ignore that most of the victims were Asian women.
Mainstream society doesn't believe that we face racism.
I'm not interested in whether or not he had a bad day.
When the Asian gets attacked for no good reasons, he decides not to prosecute.
Education is a big part of the solution. There are a lot of people who don't know the history of Asians in America, and that whitewashes our existence from this country.
It's not just an Asian American thing, but all Americans who care about the future of this country and this world really should understand this history too.
Okay, so yeah. As a producer of that short documentary, I helped bring on almost every artist that contribute to that project. How we did that? It's not a stop motion. I don't know what the exact word to describe this short documentary. It's not illustration, it's not animation. We have artists came on set, or there's also artists around the world that they send in their work to us. We assign each scene to each artist, and then we print it out, cut it, and assemble the set by our whole art department. And I'm really honored to have a few of my art department members here today come to support me. Thank you so much. Yeah. And so 2022 and 2023, navigating change. What can I say? The whole 2022, I spent that whole year working on my work visa, because if I want to continue living here, I need legit paperwork to stay here. It's a lot of work, but at the end of 2022, I got the O1 visa. Thank you. Yeah, and just in time, so that I can come home. Before that, it was 7 years that I couldn't go home. Plus 7 years because there's 2 years of COVID as well. So my dad got diagnosis with cancer, lung cancer, early 2022. At that time, I freaked out. I don't know what to do, but focusing on, speeding up this whole visa process. And when I got the visa, I flew home right away. And just in time, so that I had like a month and a half with him before he passed away. It's a very, so going to 2023 is a very, very challenging time for me, because I tried to stay home a little bit for my family, and at the same time I still have to, getting work from the state to, get the money in to survive. And I started dropping commercial works from then, and I started asking myself the question, who I am, what I want to do. At the end of the day, what kind of work gonna make me feel fulfilled? So, so this is my self-identity. There's 4 lines, yeah? The first one is what I put on LinkedIn and what I say at the custom border. What you doing? Photographer, producer, designer. But, a producer, I forgot that one. But from doing the producing work, I realized that I want to continue working in this field more, in making film, making meaningful projects, not just like another commercial projects. I identify myself as a community builder. I like to take part in different community activities, and can never forget that I'm an immigrant. So food, to me, food is the thread that binds us with our roots. We always have to remember where we come from. I started working at my friend's restaurant as their in-house photographer. It's in the Upper West Side and really close to Columbia if anyone wants to pay a visit. The thing that I really like about my friend's restaurant, not because she's my friend, it's because she's also an immigrant like me. And her story is really authentic because she's one of those people that come to the state with $100 in her pocket. So she built it from zero, from the ground. And her restaurant got noticed by, like once she opened it, all the big brands like New York Times, the New Yorkers, Rub Street, they stop by and they want an article from her restaurant. And some of these photos made it to the New York Magazine as well. The food in here is not just Vietnamese food. It's not just like generic Vietnamese food because most people know of Vietnamese food with banh mi, the Vietnamese sandwich, and pho. So that's only 2 dishes. So we have a lot. We have like hundreds of dishes that never got introduced to to the international crowd. And her mission is to bring all that authenticity to here in New York City, to introduce our culture to everyone, to share our culture through food. This is the typical spread that we have on the Lunar New Year. We also celebrate Lunar New Year, we just don't call it Chinese New Year. Okay, so we get to the last part. Everybody still with me? Yeah? Okay, thank you so much for staying awake the whole time, okay? This is my current project. I get to work with award-winning director Eric Shirai. This is a project that's very dear to my heart as well. I'm here as a coordinating producer. This is a journey of a Vietnamese immigrant to the state that, in a way that she was escaping her past when she moved here, because it's traumatizing and it's really hard to process. And she's gone for 10 years without returning. And again, food is the last thread that connects her with where she comes from. These are the stills that I took behind the scene on set. And I got to travel to the part of my country that I'd never seen before last December. And I'm really thankful for this kind of project that is when the people that work in it, they put the heart and soul into it, not just because of the money or anything, because there's a message behind all of this to deliver. So I'm going to show, this is an official teaser of this project to you guys. We started filming this project in 2022, so there was a lot of back and forth between New York and Vietnam, different parts of Vietnam as well. So in 2022, I couldn't go back with the whole crew because of the paperwork, but I was on the side working on production and translation, which is a very important part of this film. Let's get back to this. Yeah, and we just finished our last pickup shot last December, and we are in post-production period now. And we're hoping to premiere this film in summer of 2024, and hoping to enter in international film festival as well. Thank you so much for listening, staying with me until the end.
First of all, I just want to say thank you because that was an amazing journey, and I feel so privileged to have been invited into the last few years of your life. And I just want to say your spirit really comes through, and I wish the best for you because I think what you're doing is amazing. This thing looks amazing, and everything you've done, I just see you're growing. And I guess my question is, I know you're getting into this more production side of things, but I'm curious of the artistic side and obviously you can bring that into this, but with a camera or with film, are you looking to explore that as well or doing that in tandem?
Yes. So first of all, thank you so much for your kind words. I really appreciate that. Yes, your question is the question that I ask myself almost every day. Motion pictures is a total different beast, and to be honest, I would love to get into being the one that behind the camera as well, but right now I still need to learn a lot, and I think I can learn from doing the production side of this business before standing behind the camera. Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments? Shut everyone up. That's amazing.
Hi. Thank you so much for sharing your work. I literally cannot stop crying.
Oh my gosh.
It was so beautiful. I literally cannot stop crying. It was so beautiful.
Thank you.
Me crying now. Is anyone else crying?
Yes. All right, this is a good one. No dry eye in the house. It's my first. Well, I don't know. Leslie was a little
So I really appreciate that you're crying because that speak to you. So I'm really happy that the project actually speak to the audience.
Beautiful. Anyone else? Questions, comments, feedback?
Fong, it's
Yes.
a wonderful work, and thank you for showing it and sharing it. But one thing, you showed the images of your friend's restaurant. I want you to plug the restaurant.
Yes.
What's the name of your friend's restaurant?
I'm
We
so
need
sorry.
to know.
Yeah, that's the important part
Exactly.
that I skip.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm kind of gatekeeping here, so but I will. I think I'm gonna. So I've been off social media the past 2 years, and I'm trying to get back onto that. So maybe starting tomorrow. But first, I'm going to send out the information to you so you can spread to everyone.
Do you want to give us the name now, though? Well, we've got captive audience.
Yeah, I do. It's Banh, B-A-N-H. It's on Amsterdam. It's 942 Amsterdam Avenue, Cross Street.
Are we going
Route
now? Because
106.
I know I'm salivating. After
Yeah,
that. It was really.
Today is Tuesday. I think they close at 10. So.
Anything from the students? Come on, she's barely left here. No questions? Yes.
Hi. I'm kind of at a loss for words, but just wow, your work is so beautiful, and
Thank you.
I have so much respect for what you've created since your time here, and just seeing that you on this side when you were once sitting on our side is just so inspiring and moving as well. And I guess my question is, if you could, let's say, talk to your old SVA student self, go back and talk to her knowing what you know now, what would you say?
Yes, that's a good question. I guess I would say stay curious. That's a very important trait when you're in school, because school gives you the environment to explore, gives you all the facility and the time, because unless you're on the deadline, it's a different story. But after I graduate, I really appreciate the studio here because it's free. signing up for a studio out there, it's just like, it's such a pain, okay? And you have to pay. That's the part I really don't like. But yeah, so try to appreciate the time that you are here. Ask a lot of questions, you know. Stay connecting with everyone around you, even just like a guest, you know, just a guest lecturer. Because I remember back in the day, we had guest lecturer come to the class, you know. Once in a while, they tell you to keep in touch, to email them. You should. Don't think that they would never get back to you. No, they will get back to you, but you have to be clear about what you want. That's my advice.
Thank you so much. Thank you
Sure.
so much.
Thank you.
Any more for any more? Nothing? You're all going to leave and be as fabulous as Fong? Yeah? Stefan?
I just want to say the self-portrait of yourself
Yes.
really touched me to the core. I mean, that piece of work is hopefully will be seen in places, you know, because it's so wonderful, and I know how difficult that is, and you really found a good way to do it anyway, you know. So, congratulations.
Thank you so much. I wasn't 100% sure when I did that work because the amount of time to execute it was quite short. And I have to look at my face like constantly, so that's when it repels. But you know, I love to show it again, you know, to the public space. Thank you. Yeah.
Any more?
Hi, congratulations. It's a beautiful work.
Thank you.
So right now you kind of moved to the production part. I was wondering if you still like do any like photography for yourself or for any other projects.
I still, yes. I keep it personal projects for now because a lot of it, I just want to keep my spirit goes on. Working in this field, to be honest, you know, through like all the commercials and stuff, it's really burnt out because of the lots of work. I would love to come back to commercial work one day as well, but maybe a little bit like less corporate, more, you know, startup is all right too, it's fine, yeah. Thank you.
Any last questions?
Anyone want to speak to me the last time?
We'll keep her up the front as well in case there's something you want to ask that's not in public. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.